So, very good. So today we have three our panelists together with us to talk about what you think. Of course, AI, right? I will start with little introduction. So we have today with us Bernd, who is Co-CTO at Turbine Kreuzberg. Bernd has more than 20 years. I calculated. I looked at your experience. I was super impressed. That more than 20 years, actually. 25 years of experience. While I still remember that every time we have a call, like it's still very easy to go into details and talk about coding. So the co-CTO, a CTO who didn't forget how to code. So this is amazing after 25 years in the business. So very, very impressive. So give a little applause to Bernd. So today also we have Simon Wimmer together with us as a co-founder and CTO of EV. That just recently, I think a month ago, got funding of 20 million. I think it's already not a hidden information, right? Mm-hmm. To power the world of the transactional business and banking, right? So congratulations, first of all, with this. It's a great achievement, 20 million. Thanks. And also the one and only Galych, our VP Product Engineering, who is heading actually Spryker product engineering teams, which means that if there is a release that you see outside, then one of engineers from his team at least touched or worked really hard to get it. And Alex is now enabling AI practice in Spryker over all organization. So let's give an applause to Alex. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining the session today. And I wanted to talk with you about AI. And we had many discussions outside, which are quite shallow. We will try to get a little deeper, at least one layer deeper. So, and I would start with the first question that, of course, in the last months, AI development gets more and more hyped, right? We see that from ChatGPT, from one night, just it changed many people's perception what AI can and cannot do, right? And it changes the whole industries now. And could you maybe give a few words about how you, in your organization, apply AI practices, to what degree and to what depths? So maybe let's start with Bernd.
Yeah, we basically use AI, I would say, in every department, in every aspect of our work. So starting from our brand marketing, brand communication team, so they apparently use ChatGPT, they use image generation and so on. Then we also use this for the business, to do some analysis, to boost things, to speed up analysis processes, and then all the way to implementation using AI dev tools or tools that support development, like Copilot, these kind of things, but also we're looking into other toolings, for example, like there's what the diff to help you with pull requests or merge requests. So it basically touches every aspect.
Do you do anything in-house, or you try out the existing services?
First of all, we look into the existing tools because we're not able to create AI tools ourselves yet. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But we've just recently had what we call breakout. It's like a project week. Basically, everybody can do whatever they want, and some of the people wanted to set up an LLM and try to, first of all, have this on premise, and then train this LLM to figure out what can we do with this, how can we use this for our projects, to use data and to solve this issue of privacy and GDPRs and so on, and then use it, as I was saying, in projects to provide functionality for the customers.
So quite explorational work that you already done, right? So it's quite broad use cases. So Simon, what is in your organization? How do you use? Because banking, it's a industry on itself that AI, I think, can transform in the very soon future. How do you use AI as of today?
So we use AI definitely in-house for some tooling Bernd also mentioned. So for example, We also use Copilot quite actively. We use ChatGPT for lots of stuff in sales, revenue, marketing. And I'd say in-house this really boosted productivity already quite a lot. And then we also really incorporated into our product. We have two main applications, essentially. One application, so essentially what we do is we build infrastructure on open banking APIs, which is separate API infrastructure or like infrastructure compared to credit cards like Visa, Mastercard. And because like these connections are still very shaky, because the banking business is very shaky, essentially what we do is we're building an orchestration layer on top of a very diversified kind of set of bank connections. And there we're kind of starting to gather more data and building our own models to then be able to predict always the best kind of bank connection for each case, depending on metadata of transactions of the user. So this kind of an internal application, I'd say. But yeah, so I'd say we wouldn't transform it. We would probably rather enhance it and try to fix bad bank digitization. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds cool. It's good for the beginning. So let's see how it turns on. So and Alex, what's your use cases? How do you apply? How do you use AI in Spryker?
Yes, of course we use in Spryker like AI on a different dimensions. Like first of all, on a company level, outside of tech, we use it for like content creation, academy team, like in legal team, in a customer for life team, also in a people and culture team. But if you're talking exactly about like product delivery in tech, we use Copilot. We also use Amazon AWS Code Whisperer for like giving our developers like a lot of possibilities of just developing faster in some ways. We also use quite extensively ChatGPT, also in different functions, like creating product requirements, creating UI, testing test scenarios, and even in some cases working with the code, like creating boilerplates in some ways. Also, there's in product engineering there's no single area where we don't use AI. But of course, there's like the question of our depth and a question of our ideas, like where we want to go. We have a lot of plans for end of this year, like for the next year, we want to also go and more experiment, not only with the SaaS AI, but also with something in-house. Maybe just try experimentation, but that's something that you might be having exciting news in next year about.
So you basically, each of your development team actively uses AI in their day-by-day job, right? So that's a cool start because I want to give a few quotes here. First of all, there are many vendors like GitHub and AWS. They give many quite bold statements, by the way, right, about AI, what it can, what it cannot. And I will just give you a few quotes. I will not name the vendor, right, but you can find it easily. So 88% of developers feel more productive with AI tools, and 96% faster with repetitive tasks. So developers are faster, 96% with repetitive tasks, and 43% on overall development efficiency. So what do you think about it? Is it all true? Is it all realized? What is your experience?
That's funny because I just read it today because I was, of course, looking a bit into stuff to not tell any bullshit here. And
agreed.
And I know exactly which tool it is because I also read the numbers, and the numbers are a bit weird because the claims they do like 96% are more productive are faster at repetitive tasks, right? So it doesn't mean they're 96% faster, but just 96% are faster than before. So it could be like 5% faster, but it's a lot of them. So this is a bit like you have to not even read between the lines. You just need to read properly what they claim. For sure, I agree that these tools are boosting productivity. I mean, the title of this panel was AI for engineers and 10 times faster. So this is also like some kind of claim that I wouldn't agree with. You don't get 10 times faster by this. Some stuff, it speeds up a lot, especially these dull, boring things that you do over and over again, and that you usually, as a developer, then go to Stack Overflow or you Google it, and then you like copy paste and modify the code, or you know it from the top of your head, but you just type it and do a little bit different than before. And this definitely gets way faster than before. This helps a lot. I wouldn't agree with like these claims. It makes it 80% faster or something like this. This is for now, I would say this.
So it's a marketing
yes, of
term.
course. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
They need to sell their tools, right?
Definitely. But let's if you would even take less, still, do you experience at times more efficiency in your development teams, or what do you experience with applying AI tools?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the problem is that it's quite hard sometimes to really measure developer efficiency. So you can't I can't really see the perfect numbers about it, but at least from I feel and from kind of the qualitative feedback I get, it's definitely the case that lots of prototyping gets way quicker. Kind of this first phase of where you maybe say, okay, hey, someone did this before. I want to kind of write an auth service or something else. And you can probably find some guides online, but it's way more difficult to go there and get your stuff together. And you just get some boilerplate code directly and then can edit it and build on top of it. So that gets really quick. And I mean, it's probably just the first step in the development of AI. And probably, in 10 years, maybe you only have to type, build this part of the service or build this whole service. And then in 20 years' time, you can just say, okay, build these 10 services, and then you have the whole system. But yeah, so I would say it definitely gets quicker. I'm just really excited for kind of the next years and seeing what's possible then.
Yeah, it's really nice to be the last one because I can just summarize everything. Yeah, but in general, it's very similar. It depends on use case because there are some use cases where you can really have a boost. If you need to write a function that is calculate a Fibonacci number, you will have a 95% faster creating because you don't need to think about that. You can just start writing a comment; it will give you. But if you need to write something what really has a unique business logic, or business logic to solve your particular business case, then you won't get 95% because AI just cannot guess, cannot read your mind, and cannot predict what you want to develop. With this, you will of course have some improvements because maybe something will be better, like a type hinting will be better than just IDE will give you, or maybe in some cases it can give you some ideas, or with the ChatGPT you can actually discuss maybe some of the concepts of some arguments. Or some patterns, what not mandatory will give you to be faster, but it can give you actually the higher quality solution. So what we also noticed at Spryker is that if you just give a Copilot or ChatGPT to the developer, that just won't give you any significant improvement. You need to also enable the people, and for this you need to do either hackathons or you need to invest really in learning and showing the examples how it's been used. Of course, not for everyone, because still some team members tried it at home and so on, but as any tool, you need to enable people. And more you enable, better results you have, and also depends on use case. Somewhere Copilot helps you to be faster if you just need to really type a code, or somewhere ChatGPT can give you really a boost if you need to start something new, if you need to write a prototype, then you can really use this your personal assistant that will just give you some snippets of code, you can just copy-paste and get a quick result, so quick POC.
So it's the first time when we have a disclaimer, try it at home, right?
Definitely. As any tool, be curious. Try it at home, play with the different ones. Maybe you'll find even something better because there are hundreds of tools that are appearing every month.
So if this is the marketing message that we get, because a lot of technical managers get very excited about what they see on the marketing materials and what you as already experienced, let's say practitioners, say it's not, most of them not true, right? Does it mean on other side, so one side it's this marketing, very heavy marketed AI tools. On other side, there is a growing community and access to grow your own AI model, to train models, and sometimes just fine-tuning is enough, but the accessibility of these tools is going deeper and deeper, and they're broader available on the market. Do you think now, because if you don't believe in the marketing terms, do you believe that we need to all start now heavily invest in the building our own in-house tools?
Should I start?
Yeah, please. Alex, I think it's good because you usually use to summarize. So.
Yeah, so it depends. Just if you want to build your own, for instance, large language model, what is the best one for code development? You need to answer a few questions. First of all, do you have enough code, just that it will make sense for you? And not every project or not every organization has enough, 5-10 millions of unique lines of code just to have this benefit. And then you also need to understand what would be a return of investment, because you cannot just do it with the first shot in the right way. You'll need to have multiple models, you need to configure it in different ways, you need to benchmark, you need to test it, and it also takes time. It takes time, it takes, of course, budget, and not mandatory, like you're not definitely promised to succeed with that. So what we try at Spryker, try to do it in parallel. We try to use already existing tools like SaaS tools, get as much possible learning there, and then in parallel just experiment and try to get this deeper knowledge. What does it mean to train or fine-tune the model? Which case for what kind of data that we have in our organization is more suitable? And how fast we can get to the results, how fast we can actually see the payoff of our efforts.
I would maybe say it does not make sense. Maybe like kind of a hybrid approach would make sense, because I mean, looking at data and kind of tools which get more powerful, having more data and like more different diverse data. Looking, for example, at Google Maps, like it wouldn't make sense to build your own map services like in-house, because you can just rely on data which shop owners somewhere else put into Google Maps and stuff, and you would need to go somewhere else and kind of get that stuff. And like you can kind of draw that analogy, I think. So I mean, looking at lots of data or just code samples which are available on the internet. I mean, probably if you would build your LLM in-house, you would probably also try to leverage that and not on your own code. Like you say, I mean, it's always better to have more data, but then also you might not even have enough code in-house. So I wouldn't think that this is kind of a relevant goal to have even as a big organization, because it just doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to have less data and kind of train stuff on less data. Well, yeah.
I can actually maybe, if it is, also talking to different companies that are providing this kind of AI-powered code generation tools, based on their experience, they also say that the quality of recommendations when you use your own code for fine-tuning is actually higher. If you have enough code, if you have a few million lines of code, then the adoption rate of recommendations is definitely higher, because by default, if you just use the general code, it's pretty low. It's not like 90% or 80% of all recommendations have been accepted. So still, it depends, as always. It also depends on, again, how mature the organization, how much practices you have, and how many teams you have, and so on. But in some cases, it still makes sense. That's maybe not for the small startup that really want to be fast and maybe just really not focus on the tooling, but really focus on a value that they want to deliver and find first their kind of market fit, and then later start actually to deal with the tooling, how to fine-tune the tools, whatever it's AI or not AI, to better actually to boost even productivity to the next level.
Yeah, I would also say my recommendation would not be everybody should start building their own AI tools right now. First of all, it requires knowledge about this domain, which can be quite complex. So I was talking to a CTO of another company. They're heavily investing in AI, and they wanted to build up their own department, and they said they had really big issues. It was a really big challenge to build up their team, and they had really a hard time finding the right people to even get started with this. And then when you start building your AI tools, I mean, it's cool to start with this. As I was saying, we started playing around with this, and we were thinking, for example, about creating a Slack bot that is using an AI tool, an LLM, that we trained with our own Confluence data, for example, to make it easier to get answers to these typical questions. What are the processes for this, and who's the PO of that project? How does it work, and whatever. So like in-house information, and for that it makes sense to build your own thing and to train your own model, but only if it's really about your data, because otherwise, even when it comes to coding, so we have quite a lot of projects. I think we have a couple of lines of code, but training this to create somehow our own co-pilot wouldn't make sense to me, because I also wouldn't say that we build always the best code, and we might have even different approaches, and then you get like a random answer for these suggestions, for the code suggestions, and this doesn't make so much sense. So you should pick the right field where you look into this. Maybe just play around with this. Maybe you find a proper use case. That is always the best to start then building something with a real use case, but also just to explore and do some research.
So it's not like a 10,000 euro investment that you are done with building your own AI?
At least 15.
At least 15. Yeah, very good, very good. So don't write it down because your CEO will also remember it. Careful.
Don't quote me on that.
So very good. By the way, what I recall that Alex started to talk about that it also means that all the prerequisites problems appear, right? Like that you need actually to have this data, right? It's tremendous amounts of data. I remember a call I had with a GitHub Copilot product manager, and they say that 15 million lines of code was considered as insignificant for our training. So whatever you do, it's all cool, but it's just a little cherry on the pie of actual training.
And besides actually the preconditions, there's also kind of post-conditions. Once you have your own in-house model, you still need to deploy it, and you still need to keep it up to date. So you cannot just, it's not one-time effort, you just invest it, and then for 2-3 years you just forget about that and it's cool. You need to keep it up to date, so you need to still have investments, like recurrent investment in that model to keep it up to date, because otherwise it actually doesn't make sense. It won't fit in the long run.
So we already touched on efficiency a little bit, especially on the marketing promise. But when we are now talking about applying AI practices, we are kind of implicitly or explicitly, we are looking for efficiency to a way, right? Maybe eliminating waste, maybe by making people just more happy to not do the repetitive work, right? But how do you measure the efficiency when you apply AI tools in your teams? Or do you have even this term, what is efficiency? Because like otherwise you could apply, you could also say, maybe just 2 lunches a day will be a better approach than having AI, right? But what is efficiency? How do you define efficiency when you are talking about application of AI tools for development teams?
To be honest, we don't measure this yet. So we started using these tools, we're looking into these tools, but we don't have any metrics for this yet. So we cannot say, okay, we could probably like have one team working with AI tools, the other one without, and then see over time, like over 2-3 months, how did they perform, might work. But in general, the assumption would just be using these AI tools is beneficial for the efficiency. To what degree, we don't know yet.
Yeah, likewise, actually. So we also don't measure it. We also don't have anything like like story points. So we don't perfectly scope out everything we do. I mean that's also maybe just part to the nature of our organization at the moment. But yeah, probably we should start kind of looking what the return on investment is actually in that case, and not just use it. But yeah, just kind of like I said initially, the qualitative feedback is pretty good.
Dennis got us.
Okay, so just a disclaimer, we at Spryker, we're not a control freaks or whatever, but we are very data-driven, and being actually data-driven is part of our DNA. So we have a lot of KPIs, like on different dimensions, like main KPIs, contributing KPIs, where we measure different kind of areas. We don't have a specific API for efficiency of AI, but we do still kind of measure it in 2 dimensions. The first one, it's qualitative, it's a surveys, talking to people, like what do you think, like how do you feel, does it actually does speed up you, does it actually give you any value? Not 100% see it, so still, as I said, like learnings and some different exercises necessary to have a full adoption. And the second dimension is running, as you also gave an example, A/B testing. What we do, for instance, it's not something that we can easily do with the code development, but it's something that we can do with the test scenarios creation and also with the product requirement generation. We can try to do it like a manual and with AI, and we do it, and we actually see that AI helps with the good preparations, with the kind of preparations in the prompts, so investing in advance. It takes some significant amount of time and research and preparation, but then running A/B testing, you see that actually there's a value, and we can all even measure it, but not like that on an entire scale of entire organization. We constantly see that for the last 10 years, AI brought us 50%, because there's just a time frame is too small to just really confidently say how much it gives us.
And I would rather not focus so much on how much more efficient are we, like, to really measure this, but to focus on are the people using it right? Because you were also saying that you need to learn how to use these tools, because imagine a developer is using then Copilot and takes everything for granted. So starts typing, gets the suggestion, looks pretty good, just commit and run it and don't think about it anymore. So this would be really bad, and you need, I mean, no one would probably do this, but can happen that people don't look into code so much anymore, like the suggested code. It's basically like copy-pasting from Stack Overflow and
I
taking
doubt
this as for real.
nobody will do it, because if previous years we were copy-pasting from Stack Overflow blindly.
No.
So yes.
You did.
Nice. So I got it. So it's basically different dimensions. Sometimes you would still have certain KPIs. However, they go in that deep. It's also could be a challenge, right? And also a challenge for people. Got it. First of all, when like 5 years ago we would be asked about AI, what it would change the most. Maybe first thing that would come to our minds would be, the most repetitive work, like maybe somewhere robots working on the field, that would be the first area to be optimized, right? But actually it appeared from the back. So the AI came to the door and started to knock to the most intelligent jobs in the industry, right? So, and I think when ChatGPT showed their capabilities, many people on the back of their minds got, can I be replaced with it, right? And if maybe some of them already answered this question, but what do you think about the developers getting replaced? What do you think, should we expect in the next year, like 2024, as some tool promises 40% efficiency, 40% less job publications for software development?
No, I don't think so. It will most likely kill some jobs, like the boring, repetitive stuff. It's the same like with the Industrial Revolution, when the computers came up and so on. Also, people were worried that computers take away all the jobs, but it also creates new jobs, right? So, I mean, none of us would be here without the computers, without the internet. And a lot of people were also scared about this, like killing all the jobs. But it's like there's two sides to it always. And so I might be worried if I would be some developer with very, very low skills, can just do like simple stuff, then I would be worried, because this could be, maybe not right now, but in short term could be done by an AI as well, in most likely the same way. So
all developers with the prefix junior should now start to get worried.
No, not the juniors, not necessarily. No, I mean, like it's all about education, right? So you see this in general, like people with a lower education have a hard time sometimes finding good jobs, proper jobs, because their simple skills can be done by machines, can be done by AI, can be done by IT, and so same applies then to developers, I would say. And people with low education or lower education, lower skill sets, their jobs might be endangered to a certain degree. But in the end, AI is smart but not creative, and development is a creative job, and you need to come up with creative solutions. AI cannot give you solutions to problems that, or to like, cannot come up with solutions to problems that don't exist yet. When you are facing a new challenge, like completely new and very new use case, and so on, this cannot be created out of thin air, not based on previous data, I'd say, or maybe not yet. And so this creativeness, this creativity, this is something that if developers have this, and then they can focus on that, and AI can take over the rest of the part.
So just confirmed with Turbine Kreuzberg, there will be next year plenty of job publications. So no changes because of AI for sure. So and Simon, what's your view to that?
Yeah, I would partially agree. I think so. Essentially, maybe also drawing the analogy to machines. So I would guess kind of all of the engineering jobs, which are kind of the construction worker kind of equivalent, right? So building stuff, but it has been there before, but not architecturing, not thinking about some domains, not how they play together. They might be endangered in the near future, I guess. But I also think it will rather give us more chances, like for example, iterating more quickly, having less input, having less time spent, but still being able to deliver the same value, which is always good, right? So especially for agencies, I guess, if you have, like although maybe it might not be good if you charge per hour, but no, but in general, I mean, it's always good to deliver more value in the same time, and I guess that will be also the same case, iterating more quickly, prototype more quickly.
Yeah. So we will have just some time for last questions. That's why I want to ask you first to finalize this question about developers. If you would recommend one thing to those developers that feel endangered, that feel that, okay, I do repetitive work, or I do feel danger from AI, that if I will get to this practice, I will be replaced. What will be your number one advice?
Okay, then maybe I'll combine two questions into one. And just coming from a previous question, depends on the time horizon. If you look like next year, no, of course, AI won't replace the people, but slowly but surely AI will take some of the activities that currently are done by developers. And just coming to the second question, what is the remediation for this? Like, everyone has to stay curious and has to continue learn and has to actually explore and make sure that AI is becoming actually assistant, co-pilot, whatever you call it, but actually augment one's capabilities and the skills. And in this case, this kind of developers, engineers, whatever you call them, they will be like as the most valuable on the market. Mm-hmm. And what we also see is that AI, of course, it will close some of the jobs eventually, but it will create even more.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other advices? This is a great thing, the great piece of advice to start with yourself, right? And look into your learning curve. So what would be?
I would say maybe adopt it as quickly as possible. So you just know how to work with it, and then makes most sense because then you can work more efficiently and you're not being replaced in the end.
Yeah, embrace it, but also be critical about it, like have a critical view on it. Like don't just adopt anything, filter out the noise because there's so much hype, and level up your skill set if you're like endangered by AI.
So there is a high chance, if I would summarize your answer, there is a high chance not that AI will replace a developer, but developers that use AI will be replaced, but will replace developers that don't use AI, right? So that will be the change. Okay, and the last one. So could you give one, maybe a few sentences on what are your hopes and fears about the future of AI?
Should I start?
You can.
Okay, so the hopes that so I actually see the AI as another revolution. So we can call it like a technological revolution, you can also call it like industrial revolution, whatever revolution, but it will bring actually a lot to our life. And in our lifetime, we will see the changes that maybe even today we cannot really dream of, not only in software development, but also in other industries. And that's something that's really coming. That's why I'm super curious and super happy and very like AI optimistic about what's actually in front of us, and as guys said, like, let's really embrace it. Fears, in software development, I don't have fears. I'm not expecting that AI will take all of the jobs and then we will be unemployed and we're just looking for.
What about Terminator movie? We like.
But actually,
so much.
Yeah, this kind of dimensions. So AI per se is actually not a good or bad person or whatever, or intelligence. It always depends on like in the hands that it will have a control over that. And if it will go to the bad hands, to the bad actors, we'll have bad results. If it will go to good hands, good actors, we'll have a good results. We need to make sure that it doesn't go to the bad actors.
Still very positive, very positive. So Simon, what is your greatest fear about AI?
Greatest fear? Well, I guess if you want to get very pathetic, then essentially, like structural social changes and, not taking people enough with you. But apart from that, probably data privacy a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't over-engineer it, as you see with GDPR. It has rather been a failure than a success, I guess. Bit of over-regulation, but that's definitely something which might play a big role. Also, co-pilot that you don't own licenses of code you use in the end, and kind of these difficulties. So yeah, that might be a bad effect, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also would hope for the better, like that it changes the world for the better, to the better. My fear would be that it's too monopolized, that just like a few players, a few companies are basically owning the knowledge and the capabilities, and that everybody's dependent on them in the end.
Yeah,
should be more like socialize, like spread.
Also, not only on the AI side, but the data itself, right? Like as a main fuel to actually power an AI. So we tried to do it a little fearful. It didn't happen. Still, like it's more hopes than fears here. So thank you very much for participating in today's panel, today's discussion, sharing your experiences, and let's embrace AI practice in our organization together.